Today we're sitting down with Ingrid Hanson-Popp, the author of Cellophane Farm, Life in the Slow Lane, and Becoming an Orphan, Lovingly Letting Our Parents Go. Her work speaks to two parts of life that don't always get talked about together: where we come from and what happens when we start to lose people who shaped us. She shares what it looked like growing up in a slower, more grounded way of life, and also what it means to walk through the raw reality of caregiving and that shift into becoming the one who carries the story forward. This conversation really resonates with who we are here at Womenfolk Revival because it honors our roots, it navigates real life transitions, and being intentional about what we pass down. Welcome to Womenfolk Revival. I'm Mira,
I'm Maggie.
and welcome Ingrid for the third time to Womenfolk Revival. You are our first guest, and we are so blessed to have you on our show.
I am glad to be here, and we are gonna overcome technology. I'm sure of it,
We
but I'm
are.
happy to be your first guest.
Final take, first guest. Okay. So, Ingrid, you've written about the beauty of the slow lane and the transition of becoming an orphan. Looking at those two parts of your life, what is one lesson from your childhood roots that helped you survive the season of losing your parents?
I have to say, so my dad passed away when I was 15, and that spiritually for me was a reinforcing moment. So I was raised in a Christian home. It was an evangelical church and so forth and so on. And so church and real personal belief in Jesus was a thing. It's like just part of our family, our world, our week, year to year. And so I was called out of study hall in high school, and I was only told your mother needs you at home right away. Okay, that's a little weird. And my first thought was that my father had died, and then my rational brain took over and like, no, 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 let's not jump to extremes. So that my school counselor drove me home, and within a half a mile of our farm, which is straight down the road, I could see this is the irony, half a mile, there's a cemetery on either side of the road,
Well,
which of course I'm sure my counselor never knew. But he said very carefully, your father died today. And my response to him was, I'm so glad that my dad knew Jesus.
mm,
And what that meant was, Dad may be gone now, but he's not gone forever. That was my hope. That was my entire foundation and hope, and what really locked it in it when from a physical standpoint at the just before the funeral at the church with the casket in the back of the church and all that. My mom wanted me to touch my dad's hand. My dad had these huge, massive hands. And, it was a little wigged out about it, but I'm like, "Well, okay." And she was doing her best because to help me realize this was real,
uh-huh.
right? She didn't have any psychology background, but actually it wasn't a bad idea. And when I did that and I looked at his body, I'm like, "Yeah, no. A body is not a person. That's not
Mhm,
the whole person.
mhm,
Who he is, his spirit and his whole entire personality, he's just not here.
mhm.
He is not in his box." And it just solidified all of my Christian faith at that time.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Um, okay, Ingrid. So let's start with your first book, Cellophane Farm.
Mhm.
In it, you describe your father as the matriarch, the emotional heart of your home. What was one specific daily rhythm he led, maybe at the table or in the morning, that made the house feel safe and grounded?
Mm. Well, yeah, I don't know if that's quite accurate with the with an emotional, uh, but nonetheless, his habits or his modeling was, I think, on a week to week basis. Um, and sorry, I'm trying to answer this properly. That church was like the center of our family life. I mean, you didn't skip going to worship and going to church unless you were home with the like stomach flu. That was the only time. And
Mhm,
once you were old enough to be alone, you stayed home alone.
mhm,
um, but he also taught us resting on the Sabbath. not in a terribly legalistic way, but on a farm, a dairy farm, and he raised crops to feed our cattle. The work is never done. And that was the lesson I learned even then was, no, no, we're gonna just wait till Monday to pick up the work then. We're gonna rest today.
Mhm.
And, one of the other things I observed in my dad was, uh, he the only times I saw him read, I think, were the, newspaper at home, and he was probably checking the price of grain is what he was probably checking. But the only other time I saw him was late at night after all the chores were done, and he would grab his worn out old Bible, and he would be reading that. And so these types of things, along with principles like, he never spoke them. These there were not words for this. It's what I've as I became an adult have put words to. Principles like you always do the right thing no matter what it costs you.
Mhm.
Really.
Mhm.
Um Another one was you tell the truth. Mm. Not telling the truth is not an option.
Right.
It wasn't in our household. So I think it was all those principles that gave us a grounding and the fact that on a farm. Okay, first of all, when you're a farm kid, you're just weird. I mean, to the rest of the public, I mean, like you're just an oddball out. It's just like,
Yeah.
um, but at home, we belonged because everybody belonged to the process. We all had chores from as long as we can remember, and then those chores would advance. Like you learn how to drive the tractor, or shovel corn, or take care of the calves, or plow, or whatever.
Mhm.
And so that sense of belonging was also, I think, a powerful thing. And when I work with young people with kids, I'm like, or I meet their dads or whatever, and I ask them, "So what do you do for work?" And then they tell me some like, let's say, a complicated either marketing or technology thing. I'm like,
Mhm.
"Okay, I don't quite get that, but great." You know, and so for
Mhm.
most homes, mom and dad, or mom or dad, or just dad, they just leave every morning,
Mhm.
and then they come back.
Mhm.
But the children have no idea what dad's doing or why, or observing the frustrations. We observed the frustrations. Now this from an emotional standpoint. Unfortunately, dad had, he was either angry, or he was level, or he was making jokes.
Mhm.
And you didn't wanna get in the way of his anger, unfortunately, but, um, uh, we were all we were all together, and we all belonged, and he would just teach us in his own way what the next chore was, and we could see his frustration. That's where I was going with that, sorry, I trailed off for a minute. Um, uh, so it hadn't been raining, and the crops were starting to, the leaves
Well,
were starting to curl,
yeah.
or the hay wasn't growing to get a second cutting. And so or the tractor wouldn't work again. And so we would observe him doing real life, this is not work isn't easy.
Mhm.
And he just kept going.
Yeah.
So we observed perseverance and all sorts of other positive things.
Yeah, I
So,
wanna touch on that real quick. My father, I witnessed him passing away, actually, and when you said that when she asked you to touch his body and you realized that he was no longer there, also being a nurse in the medical field, I have also,
mm,
been the one to have to, take care of the end of life for many clients, and it's almost that sense of it's almost a natural sense where when you walk up to them after they pass away, it's almost like you're just looking at a shell.
mm,
And it's very transformational knowing that, wow, we really aren't made of these bodies. It really
yeah.
all is about spirituality. And I love the fact that you bring up that you're an and I don't know how to say it,
Evangelical?
evangelical Christian. As at Womenfolk Revival, we accept everyone from all walks of life. And I have studied and practiced lots of religions in my past. And it's just, you know, you don't have to be a specific religion or walk a certain faith to fit in, especially here at Womenfolk Revival. Whatever your beliefs are is what makes you who you are as a person and what shapes your spirituality, and all are welcome. So I just also wanted to add that in there. So we are very blessed to have you here with us
Mhm.
explaining and
Mhm.
expressing, your background and where you come from, because that's what shapes who we are as people, you know? But
Absolutely.
we all
Mhm.
come from the same dirt.
Yep.
We're all created from the same mud.
That's right.
So I just wanted to touch base on that real quick.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So, Ingrid, you talked a lot about growing up in the farming life. You do not currently run a farm today.
Nope.
And I know many women today feel called to live differently than how
Mm,
they did grow up.
mhm.
Were your parents okay with you taking another path? And any um do you have any advice for women on how we can honor our parents while choosing a different path?
Mm. Yes. Yeah, I hear your question. Yeah, there. So, uh, I think I think some of what happens, some of it's that some of it's being a farm, growing up on a farm, um, but maybe the broader umbrella is that, being independent farmer just used family. We didn't employ or hire other people out to help us with the work, is an entrepreneurial life.
Mhm.
And I think that, and I'll get back to the honoring, our parents and their view and what they had worked towards. There just weren't distinct lines between this is work and this is fun, or this is work and this is life, or this is work and this is rest. It just all was blended together.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Uh, so I'm the youngest of three. My brother is 6 years older than me, and my sister is 16 years older than me. And so, with only one boy, I don't remember how old my brother was, but it was pretty early on, maybe junior high or whatever, that uh, it was made very clear that he had no interest in taking over the farm. Which just wasn't his thing. He went into construction and carpentry and is very good at it. And and Dad just went with it. And for me, so I got married. I was 30 years old, and um, we can talk about this a little bit later on. But some with losing Dad at a young age, there there became some mm, difficult dynamics with my mom. And so the fact that I didn't have this pressing need to want to have children wasn't too surprising to me. So, my husband and I got married, I was 30, and, for the first maybe 3 years, my mom would ask, "So, are you gonna have kids or anything?" I'm just like, "No, I no." And then she stopped asking, and she was okay with that. She was like, "Hmm, okay." And it didn't fit her dreams,
Mhm.
but she always allowed me to have my dreams. And even educationally, mom and dad did not have a high school diploma because he had to take over the farm from his ailing father. Um, and mom had a high school diploma. And so when it got to me graduating high school, they were very supportive. Like, whatever I wanted to do, they're like,
Mhm.
okay, you know, whatever. So, yeah, so they were really hands off on what all the 3 of us wanted to do. Yeah, and so that honoring, I think, just comes in they started it. You know what? They honored us by letting us be individuals. Mm,
Yeah, that's
really.
awesome.
Yeah. So,
Mhm. Okay, for the woman listening who feels like her life is chaotic, what's one habit that you feel that women can start doing tonight to bring peace and stability into their homes that
mm,
you felt growing up and maybe you practice in your home today?
mhm, mhm.
Yeah, give me that good advice because I need it.
We all do.
Starving.
Ah, well, and, even forming the words in my head, I feel this pull or this, really it's more of a conflict even within myself. So we learned to work hard growing up on the farm. You just work till you get it, which is a good thing with technology. You just keep trying until you get it. Uh, but really, when I look back at it, then and now, we have this wind down time at the end of the day.
Mhm,
And it's harder for me to I have my very own office space for all this stuff I do with music and piano and the household stuff and book stuff and author stuff, and I I have to be real specific of, okay, 9 o'clock, 9 p.m., the computer is off. There's no more, just stop. And every couple months, I start trying to ooch that a little earlier, like quarter to 9.
Mhm.
And that is so that my husband and I can have some wind down time together.
mhm.
And it might mean watching an old, rerun of Batman. We watched the whole original Batman season. It's so funny. Um, and they always have these, like, teachable moments. Anyway, it might be that. It might be what we call library hour, which is just sitting in our living room,
Mhm,
where we have all of our books. And we may be chatting, or we may both be reading, or I may be reading and he's doing something on his iPad. And it's the wind down time. And we had it at home. So at home, this is so funny because it was so not my dad. He was one of the first people in our neighborhood, neighborhood, little town, little village, whatever, to have a TV when TVs came out. Now it was black and white, and he used to watch boxing. But anyway, in the evenings, because he used to be an amateur boxer. Uh, anyway, in the evening, he'd watch 3 different shows, like Bonanza and I don't even know what they were, but I'd sit up there with him. Sometimes mom would be up there, and, every time a commercial would come on, we'd change the channel, and I would change the channel because it was before we had remote control for the so we'd
mhm.
be watching 3 different shows at the same time, and he was drinking a glass of port, and we were just goofing off, and sometimes we'd have pillow fights, and, eventually it'd just be I don't even know if I had a bedtime really, but eventually I guess my switch would go off. I'd just be too sleepy. I'm like, "Gotta go to bed." So that wind down time. I don't know. That's a good habit. Whatever that
That
wind down time might work for you.
I
But it
remember
means letting go. Letting go of the work that's not done. It's sort of like Sabbath. You know what? It's too late. I'm not gonna be good
time's
at it
up.
anyway. Time's
Mhm.
up.
I remember the last conversation we had the same discussion, and I told you, "You're a night owl compared to us. We're in bed by 8 o'clock over here." That's just a non-negotiable for us. Sleep and wind down time. All the kids are in bed by 7 o'clock in their rooms. Some are in bed sleeping, and the others are reading until 7:30. But that's our time, if I'm not working, where we just sit and talk. And sometimes we're just on our phones sitting next to each other. But the house is quiet, and you have to have that time before you go to bed. I believe, just like
Yeah.
you, where you just need that quiet space in your head, time to shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's ironic is my husband and I just had some dealings with a functional doctor to help him with some issues, blah, blah, blah. And she's really big on the sleep, the circadian rhythm.
Hmm.
And we've just noticed after kind of a month of practicing some of those things that my husband is dreaming like
Hmm.
really in
Vivid.
depth and
Hmm.
in detail. And I'm
Hmm.
thinking that he's sleeping more soundly.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Mm.
sleep is a thing. I mean, it's important.
It is.
It is so important. Yeah.
Yep. We couldn't stress
I
that enough.
know. And we in our house, we do not have my husband and I talk about it all the time. We need to come up with a routine for the evenings where we wind down. And
Mhm.
we have intentions to start that every day. We just haven't gotten there. And some days we do, and I'm like, wow, this is so lovely. But
It does. Mhm.
we just still live in so much chaos right now that we're having a difficult time making it every single night.
You'll
But we're
get
working
there.
on
You'll get there.
it.
So, Ingrid, when your father passed away and you and your mother initially became very close,
Yes.
what did that closeness look like in your day-to-day life?
Mm. I refer to that season as, mom and me against the world, and, I think it, um, it's almost like your entire the entire, like you said, day-to-day life is upended
Mhm.
because our whole lives revolved around the chores related to the cows, related to the farm, which, of course, she had to get rid of right away. She there was no way she could continue that,
Mhm.
and, which meant we ate differently, we drove to church differently, like, together, uh, and I guess I guess really, we didn't necessarily grieve together, uh, but at the same time, we also did a lot of talking. That's where well, my mom and dad were both talkers. Our whole family, you can't get us to stop. So, uh, so mom and I talked a lot, and it was never, there might be a just a teary moment of, I miss your dad, or I wonder what dad would do, or I wonder, uh, but it was more just the, well, what are we gonna make for dinner tonight? Or
Mhm.
how late are you working? Because by then, as those years, so I got to be, uh, graduated high school and just starting into college, and, so I was becoming more independent, and had part-time jobs and all that good stuff, and but let's say my first job, and she would still have to drive me to it, um, then and pick me up, and then we'd talk about it, like, she'd wanna hear about it.
Mhm.
So, I don't know, I can't quite put that into words, but we also had to problem solve together, like, whether it was a health problem, whether it was an automobile problem,
Mhm.
and, okay, my car won't start, or I need new tires, or whatever, and then she would, say, "Well, you should call so and so because that's who she and my dad always called, or the
Mhm.
mechanic that they always went to." So, it's very practical things like that.
So you
Yeah.
guys, it sounds like you 2 were extremely independent and opposite, but you came together and worked together as a team, and that was your closeness
Uh-huh,
in
yeah,
that
very much
sense.
so. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
and because
so
you share the same.
grief.
Yes, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. It's the same,
Good.
it's the person, that we both were missing, is the same person.
Yeah, and everything changed again when she got remarried.
Yeah.
What was that moment for you when you realized that the anchor you had found in her, was starting to shift towards somebody else?
It was, it was an emotional landmine.
Mhm.
Um, so I have to preface this with, none of us in our family would say any of us ranked really high on the, uh, intimate relationship skills.
Mhm.
Um, we got along with people, but sometimes just the nuts and bolts of really knowing a person or really connecting, not so good. So anyway, so I was probably a little bit emotionally stunted in the first place, and then you lose your dad and you just gut it out and you
Mhm.
keep going. And so um yeah, what that was like was when she started dating people and they were all decent men. It was this battle inside of intellectually and, morally. I'm like, "Absolutely. Fair game, mom. That's fine. You go for it." But emotionally, I was like, "I can't go there with you. I'm not excited. I don't wanna hear about your dates. This is just too weird. It's just
Mhm.
too weird." And she did try, but that kinda level of communication, like, that's what I'm getting at, is that level of communication of trying to explain to your just about grown-up daughter
Mhm.
why you're doing this or what it's like or ask me how did I feel about it, and that never occurred. It
Mm.
never occurred, and
Mhm.
so I was, 19 and I was getting ready to leave to go visit some friends at college, and that's when my mom announced that she and, Ken were gonna get married. I'm like, "Yay, bye, gotta go." I was stood up for her as her maid of honor, and if you see those photographs, I'm not a happy camper.
Aw.
And so, uh, I always stayed respectful of
Yeah.
him and her, but I kept my distance, and that's one thing I regret, especially with Ken was his name. He was a kind, gracious man, in many ways opposite, as far as temperament of my dad, cared about mom, was a Christian guy, whatever, all good, but I kept my distance, and I'm really sorry because they had a marriage of, I don't know, it was 25 years or more,
Oh,
and they
wow.
never
Mhm.
expected that to have that long.
Yeah.
And I was sorry that I always held him at arm's length. He never wanted to be my quote unquote dad. That was never an
Oh,
issue.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, so it pushed me to be more independent,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, we talk a lot about independence, but sometimes that independence is actually a wall that we build to protect ourselves from feeling that abandonment again.
Mhm.
So is that wall why it might have taken you a while longer to decide to get married back then? Because nowadays people are choosing to get married,
Yeah.
later
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
they were years ago. But was there a fear that letting someone close, that close, did that mean like it was giving them the power to leave?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. And again, it's the intellectual versus the emotional
Mhm.
interior battle. And so when I'm my husband and I knew each other all the way back through grade school, but we didn't start actually dating, till I was almost 30. And it just felt so natural. We had so much fun. He was easy to talk to. We grew up in the same, like a mile and a half from each other, went to the same grade schools, et cetera, et cetera. And anyway, so one day we go for a walk and we walked the farm and it was winter. And he says to me at the beginning of the walk, he says, "So, how about we get married?"
I love it.
Okay, I need to talk about this later. Let's just go for a walk. I was pretty wigged out. I was surprised. I was happy. I was like, wow, shocked. And so smart man, and he is he's very good relationally and
It's awesome.
conversations and whatnot. And he just at the end of our walk, I think it was, he said, "Well, I know I've been around the block here, and I know that you're who I want, and you tell me when you're ready."
Oh, wow.
Smart man, because
Mhm. Right.
to push me at that time would have pushed me away.
Yeah.
So so I was considering that, thinking about that, and it was a habit of mine to fast and pray at important junctures, and so I'd been fasting and praying, and I stopped in at church, and I uh, was talking with one of the pastors there that he and I served together. He was the youth pastor, whatever,
Mhm.
and he said, "So what are you doing today?" So I shared with him when I was fasting and praying, and like, I like David. It feels really great and natural, and he's a believer, and I said, "But, uh, I'm concerned that he could die." Everybody's like, "Oh, getting married, getting engaged, oh, it's such a happy thing." But in my experience,
Mhm.
I heard my mother sobbing,
Mhm.
gut-wrenching, crying, and I don't think it was even more than twice, maybe only one time did I hear her in her bedroom. And it only takes one time when you're 15 to hear your mother grieving like that to go,
Mhm.
"Yeah, it's all fun and games until they're dead."
Mhm.
I don't know
Mhm.
if I wanna sign up for that. Do I wanna sign up for that? And this pastor, Mike, said to me, "Well, we're called to walk by faith,
Mhm.
whatever that looks like. You have to walk by faith if you stay single. You have to walk by faith if you marry.
You sure
You have to
do.
walk by faith if you have kids. If you don't have
Mhm.
kids, it's all about walking by faith and trusting God."
Mhm.
I'm like, "Okay, then. I get that. I can get behind that. Let's go." And so,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I understand abandonment wholeheartedly. I was adopted and I always had abandonment
Mm.
issues. I was always scared that I was gonna be left even though my mom raised me. She did a good job and
Mhm.
but that fear is always there. Is someone gonna leave me? Am I not good enough? So I
Mhm.
understand that. But what I would like to know is how do we start to soften that? What is the first step in trusting the creator to hold us when we have spent years being our own protector? What is that?
mhm.
How does that look?
Whoa. Well, even just recently, in being an independent author, self-published author, I mean, I have a publisher, Morgan James, which they're great, but you're still an independent author, and it's not easy. And so, I'm bringing this up because, um, for me, I mean, all my married life with David, and we have 30 plus years going on. This, I
Wow.
don't know,
Wow.
32, something like that.
That's
33
wonderful.
this year. Yeah. So, but first of all, that's where the creator started to fix things.
Mhm.
Was my husband David is wired for team. He is wired for team. He can work independently. He's a hard worker, whatever, alone.
Mhm.
But he is 1,000 times more creative and inspired and energized when he's working with someone,
Mhm.
and whatever that might be. And so I've been learning from that. But what really um, got my attention is the frustration of I'm doing all the things that all the gurus tell self-published authors to do,
Mhm.
and all the marketing and all the this, that, and 1,600 other things. I'm trying. I'm trying, and I'm not seeing any results. It's so discouraging, and my go-to is, well, the answer must be I'm not working hard enough. Oh, no, 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 no. And God's like, that is not true. It's great that you know how to work hard and persevere, but that is not the answer. And so, what I've done recently is, so really it's frustration that has driven me back to, uh-oh, it's my Achilles heel of independence. It's my Achilles heel of working alone. And it was my husband who watches me be frustrated, watches me be disappointed in this part of my work and my life. And he's like, uh, well, what we do at work is we have a team meeting every Monday, whatever. And we just like look at the weeks coming. And he's like, you need to get a hold of my editor is also uh, a dear friend. She's known me my whole life. So my editor of both my books, Terry, and my tech guy who does the website. He's like, just do a Zoom meeting every week with them, the three of you, and go from there. And it changed my entire attitude because I wasn't working in a vacuum by myself. And it's just been so healthy. So it for me to shave off some of that independence took me to be incredibly discouraged before I
Mm.
gotta look at this differently.
Yeah.
Mhm. So, Ingrid, let's talk a little about your second book, Becoming an Orphan. In there, you talk about the weight of the caregiving season. Um, and this is where you discuss the loss of your mother.
Mhm.
Um, so tell us what's something that many women hold on to about their parents that actually makes that season of caregiving harder?
Mm. Yeah. Yes. And I've as I talk more and more with people becoming orphans, they can see their parents aging or they've lost one or whatever stage you're in that. Uh and I felt it myself. So of the three of us kids, I happened to be the one that was close by and probably the closest to mom. And so the tasks, like she lost her driver's license, and so taking her places fell to me. And at first, there was this panic of, okay, I have no idea how I'm going to keep managing my life, which is full to the edges, no margin, which is not a good thing. Um, and then all of what she was very active. She was very active, and a lot of it involved driving her car to go wherever she was going.
Mhm.
So, so I think women especially have the misconception in their head that two really powerful ones is either one, I have to do everything. I have to do
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
That is not healthy and is not true.
It's not.
But if you don't combat it right from the get-go, you'll get buried by it.
Mhm.
You don't have to do everything. And secondly, and I'll give an example of combating them. And secondly, that I have to do this perfectly. That I should know how to
Gotta
do
do it.
this.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's like, wait, stop. So my other work is as a pianist, and so I teach lessons every day of the week for years, a lot of years. And even though I don't have children, so here's the example there of I have to do this perfectly. No, I don't think so. Why would I say that? Why would I say those harsh words to myself
Mhm.
when I would never even imagine thinking that, or you as moms saying that to one of your little ones who's trying to learn how to do something?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Even like when they try to learn to walk and they fall. Do we scorn them? Do we like, "What's your problem?" No, because they're learning. Any of my students, when I'm teaching them a new concept, some of them may get it a little quicker the next week than the others, but
Mhm.
it's just learning.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why we have in our head that we should do it perfectly when it's something we've never done before.
'Cause we're
It's
women.
just yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's just not even logical. And the second of I have to do it all myself. I don't think so. So, great example was and one of the chapters in my book, A Caregiver's Guide, is uh, creating your team. What does your team look like? You need a team.
Mhm.
And so I had the simple piece of I can't go down. I don't have 3 or 4 hours to go down to Illinois every week and help mom grocery shop.
Mhm.
I I don't. So at that time, Peapod was a grocery come to your house. You order it online and they drop it off at your house long before COVID, right? And so I'm like, dang, okay, we're going to use that. And mom was a little wigged out by it, but it created a wonderful weekly connection. And once we got it done and she understood how it worked, great. The other huge thing was when she lost her driving privileges, I called the church, secretary of the church. She knew who I was because I grew up there. She knew who mom was. I explained, she's got cardiac rehab and she visits friends and she comes on Sunday to teach Sunday school and she's blah, blah, blah. And I said, I just need somebody to drive her everywhere. She's like, and the secretary said, I know exactly the person to call. Handled. She'll set it up. She'll set up a driving team. That was it. I was on the
I
phone for
love that.
5 minutes
Wow.
and it was a beautiful thing. They got to know mom, she got to know them. The people on that driving team got to know each other because when they'd have to like, "Oh, shoot, I have an appointment that day. Can you pick Marianne up?" "Oh, yeah, not a problem."
Mhm. Mhm.
So it created
Network.
this beautiful network, yep.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Community. I love it.
Mhm.
And that is such great advice. My next question for you was, how can we prepare ourselves when we find ourselves in that next season of, becoming the elders and the caregivers, and, how to work through that. And I think you just explained that perfectly,
You
Mm.
did.
you know, to give
You did.
ourselves grace to allow ourselves to learn the process and to reach out to our communities.
You
Yep.
really did. And that's what we are going to do and are in the process of doing here at Womenfolk Revival.
Mhm.
That's what we are all about. We are all about networking, building this community to network because somebody might know something that you don't know. So if we all come together as women, because we all like to do everything, I know I like to do everything by myself without his help. I will build a house without this man, I'm telling you. And don't if I ask you to do it now and you don't start, I will get started immediately.
Yes.
So, that's just how we are. We're strong, we're fierce, and
Mm,
and we're just, we're about that, but we need help. We're
mhm,
not here to teach everybody everything. We don't know everything,
Mm.
nor are we trying to know everything. We need to be resourceful and we need to build our community with networks. Somebody may know something others don't. That's
Mhm.
how we thrive. We're a village of women folk. So, as you're listening today, take a moment to reflect on your own story, the home you came from, the patterns you've carried, and what you are choosing to protect and nurture for the ones coming after you. If you want to dive deeper into these stories, we invite you to check out Cellophane Farm and Becoming an Orphan. They are beautiful reminders that even the quietest lives hold extraordinary meaning. Thank you for being here with us at Women Folk Revival, and until we gather again,
Stay rooted and stay wild.
stay wild.